What's up, it's Cody, welcome back to the channel. Now, if you're anything like me, you started playing and performing music because it's your passion. But there comes a point in every band's or every artist's career where they need to start making some money and paying the bills. So today, I want to go over the top 3 income sources for bands using my own band as an example. It can be difficult to be profitable as an artist or as an individual musician, so I thought it'd be helpful if I broke down all the different income sources and showed you exactly how much you can expect to make from each. Now, really quickly, if you do find a video like this helpful, if you could please do me a huge favor and just hit the like button down below. It really helps out me and my channel, and we'll get this video seen by many more people. So thank you so much in advance if you're able to do that. All right, so jumping right into it. I decided to pull up my numbers from May 2019. This is when we released our 5-track EP, and then we also did a Western Canada support tour for the record. So I figured it'd be really helpful to jump into these numbers and give you a breakdown of exactly how much we made that month, so you know what to expect next time you release a record or go on tour, for example. So the first source of revenue I wanted to show you is from music streams. Now, believe it or not, in this month, this was actually our lowest source of income. You can see here, we pulled in $291.77 in American dollars. So as you can see in Canadian currency, that's just shy of $400. I'm gonna use Canadian currency for this example just because everything else is in Canadian, so it makes it a lot easier. All right, Monopoly money aside, you can see we pulled in close to $400 Canadian during the month of May. Now, this was probably our best month throughout the year since we had just put out the record and there was a lot of hype behind it. So this is definitely gonna be the peak of what we made during the course of the entire year, but it gives you a good idea of what you can expect to make through your music streams. Now, if you do want to check out a video of exactly how much I made using Spotify on this record in particular, I'll link to a video down below showing you all the numbers that I made, and then I also have a video breaking down Spotify versus Apple Music, and that'll be in the link down below, so be sure to check that out if you haven't seen it yet. All right, now the second income source you can expect as a band or a performing artist is getting paid for live shows. Now, as you can see here, our support tour for this record was just a short little 6-date Western Canada tour, and we only played the major cities through Western Canada, so our payouts varied quite a bit. Now, there are some inflated numbers on here. The first 2 shows we played were self-booked. I booked those shows and I was the promoter on them, so we got paid a little bit more for those shows just because we didn't have any other costs and there was nobody else taking a cut. We cut out the middleman and we booked the show ourselves. So we got paid a little bit better for those first 2 shows, but then you'll see the following 4, we made anywhere from $100 a night to $250 a night. Now, that did pull in close to $1,800 just over the course of a week, which is really, really good and is substantially more than what we made off of our music streams in that month. Now, of that $1,800 that we pulled in for this tour, which, don't get me wrong, is really, really good, we had just about $3,200 in expenses just for those 6 shows. But keep in mind, we don't own a van, so we had to rent a van. Gas in Canada is crazy expensive, especially last summer. I think we were paying $1.60 a liter in Vancouver, just absolutely ridiculous. And then we had some equipment rentals. We had to bring in a drummer and photographer, so we had to pay flights for them, and then we had to give them a per diem. There was a few miscellaneous expenses, and then I also included the cost of our merch. So this kind of does skew the numbers a little bit because there's just about $1,000 in merch costs. But this was an upfront expense that we had to pay, and we only ended up getting $1,800 of it back. So that just gives you an idea of how expensive it can be to go on tour if you're not pulling in crazy numbers like this. So while the second source of revenue being playing shows is a really, really great source of revenue, generally that is just gonna cover your costs and expenses of being on the road. It is not cheap to tour. You're not able to continue with your job either, so you really need to rely on making money every single day in order to not only get you to the next town, but to continue paying your bills back at home. All right, and the third income source you can expect to get as a band or a performing artist is through merchandise. And in my experience, this has been the absolute best way to bring in money being in a band. So the number that you see here, $1,720, is the total amount that we brought in. This doesn't include us paying for the t-shirts and paying for the CDs and everything else that we had to do. This is just the total amount of money that we brought in. But if you do remember from the other page, let me bring it up here really quick, I already included the cost of that in our expenses. So it does kind of balance it out a bit. And if you compare what we made in merch to our band payout, you might think it's pretty similar, but once again, keep in mind that we were the promoters on 2 of these shows. So normally that would have just been a $200 show for each of those, but we took the extra money because we put all the work into doing it and we covered all the advertising and everything. So that's how come these numbers are a little skewed, but I thought this would be the best way to show you between the streams, our shows, and our merch dollars that we brought in. Now, something very interesting to keep in mind is that it's not always going to be your busiest, most packed show where you're going to bring in the most amount of money. If you look here at the attendance of some of these shows, we played a show to 40 people, but we brought in $400 of merch that night, compared to the night where we played to 160 people and didn't even bring in a $400 worth of merch. So your merch numbers are going to vary, your band payout's going to vary, and your streams are going to vary as well. So none of these are consistent numbers at all. So it makes it very tough to try to budget and try to balance your financials as a band. But let me tell you, from my experience, the absolute best way to make money being in a band or as being an artist is through merchandise. Having good-looking merchandise that is fairly inexpensive to print is going to be the best way to generate income as a band. The goal I always try to aim for is 100% markup on our merch, meaning that if it costs me $12 to print a shirt, I'm going to sell that shirt for $25. Now, this isn't always 100% feasible, especially with some nicer, higher quality items. A lot of the time you are going to have to eat the cost of that, but merchandise is by far the best way to pull in money as a band. So while you may think that getting hundreds of thousands of streams or playing a show to hundreds of people is going to bring in all the money in the world, it's really not. You need to rely on your merchandise sales so heavily to be profitable as a musician. Now, a quick little bonus source of income that I want to throw in there is through grants. As a Canadian artist, there are a ton of great programs that offer grants to Canadian musicians. There's the Canadian Music Fund, there's Factor Canada grants, there's Canadian Council for the Arts, and then on top of that, each individual province in Canada has its own grant system. Whether you live in BC, Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, they all have them. Now, I could get into covering grants and I could do a whole video on that, but it's going to be different depending on what region you live in. So I highly recommend that you take the time, research grants in your area, and let me know what you find. I'd love to create a list with your help of all the different grants available for artists. There really are so many, and a lot of them go unapplied for or unclaimed just because people don't know about them. So what I'm asking you to do is just drop a comment down below of grants in your region. If you know of one, drop it down below and I'll start compiling a list of grants so that we can share it with everybody and make it a lot easier to make money as artists. So I hope you found this video helpful of where you can expect your income to come from as a band or an artist. And if you'd like to see another video like this, breaking down different ways that musicians can alternatively make money outside of their music project, be sure to hit the like button down below and I will absolutely get that video up for you. And as always, if you are new to the channel, don't forget to hit the subscribe button down below. It seriously helps me out so much, and I don't want you missing out on any more of my music related videos, so make sure you do that. Thank you so much for watching. Have a good one.